Two likely contenders for lightweight trainer of the year, but ultimately, which one is better, or rather, which one's better for you? Today, we break down the New Balance Rebel V5 versus the Adidas Adizero Evo SL. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod, and you're watching Rad Dad Bod TV, where we review running shoes. Now today, like I said, we're reviewing the V5 versus the Evo SL, but if it's your first time watching one of my videos, you may notice some timestamps below. Feel free to jump around to the various parts of the review, but if you do so, I would sure appreciate if you come back and watch the full thing when you get a sec, as I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. And if you've been a viewer for a while, but you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please consider doing so today and turning on notifications so you get notified every time I drop a new video, which is typically Monday through Friday. Now, some quick disclaimers and disclosures are that I actually received the Rebel for free for the purpose of review directly from New Balance. That being said, I wasn't given talk tracks, talking points. I'm not required to include it in any specific content. No one watches the videos beforehand, and all thoughts are entirely my own. Regarding the Evo SL, I did buy this one with my own money. Now to kick us off, let's talk about the intended use of these two shoes. Now I would place both of these shoes in the lightweight daily trainer category or the up-tempo daily trainer category. Essentially, they are daily trainers, so you can use them daily for daily use, easy runs, recovery runs, long runs, a little bit of everything. But the lightweight daily trainer category is a little bit more performance driven as opposed to your standard daily trainers. What that means is that they tend to be a little bit more aggressive in geometry. They tend to have a little bit better like performing or responsive foams. And of course, as it is implied by the name, they tend to be a little lightweight. As such, that's how we're going to be discussing the two shoes today. Now, from a price standpoint, the Rebel V5 comes in at a very affordable $140. And that might make it one of, if not the most budget-friendly daily trainer, lightweight daily trainer on the market. That being said, the Evo SL comes in at only $10 more at $150. Now from a specs perspective, the Rebel comes in at 7.5 ounces and 225 grams. Meanwhile, the Evo SL comes in at 8.1 ounces and 230 grams. So both would be considered lightweight, but the Rebel V5 is a little bit lighter overall. Now from a stack standpoint, the Rebel comes in at 35 in the heel, 29 in the forefoot for a 6mm heel to toe drop, and the Evo SL comes in at 37 in the heel, 30.5 in the forefoot for a 6.5 heel to toe drop. For those who have commented in the past or just are curious, I get all of my specs either directly from the brands or from Running Warehouse once they've actually done their independent measurements. Now for the Evo SL, I believe those are from Running Warehouse, but from the Rebel V5, those are directly from New Balance because Running Warehouse has not yet done or updated their independent measurements, so I'm not sure where we're gonna land with this one. The specs may be a little bit different. Now from a fit perspective, I would say that the Rebel fits true to size lengthwise. If you ran in the V4, it ran a little bit short. I do feel like these fit pretty standard for the most part, so they are a little bit longer than last year's. As far as the fit throughout the shoe, I would say that it is wide foot friendly, so it's got a nice wide heel, nice wide toe box, and the midfoot is a little bit more standard fitting, I think, than previous years, but that may just be the feel of the gusseted tongue, which we'll break down in the upper. Meanwhile, the Evo SL does fit true to size lengthwise for the most part, but it might come in a little bit short. For me, I don't think it was enough that I would half size up. I was totally fine in my normal 10.5. And then I would say that the shoe fits pretty much standard throughout. So in the heel, midfoot, and toe box, for the most part, standard. Moving to the uppers, the Rebel V5 has a Phantom Fit upper, which is a nice, lightweight, breathable overall upper. If you see it up close, you can see actually it's a little bit like translucent, so you can't see all the way through the shoe, but you can see your toes and your socks in there a little bit. Then you have a nice fully gusseted tongue that has some nice like pretty tight elastics there on the side. So the lockdown in the upper of the V5 is actually really, really good, which was a really big pain point for the V4. I don't feel myself sliding around in the shoe, and you also have a nice kind of cushioned heel counter there that is not overwhelming by any means. So you just get some really nice comfort and structure in this upper. Again, much improved in the upper. If you haven't watched my comparison of the V4 versus the V5, they've basically addressed any issues that the V4 had in the upper and made them significantly better. Meanwhile, with the Evo SL, you have an engineered mesh, and it's a fairly simple overall upper. You've got some light cushion there in the heel, and then you have kind of honestly like a not great tongue overall. It's not gusseted, it bunches sometimes, it gets a little bit annoying, but the upper as a whole itself is very, very breathable. I find I can get good lockdown in the shoe despite not having a gusseted tongue, and I didn't have any hot spots or anything in the shoe whatsoever. Really, people are really critical about this upper, and I think if it had a better tongue as well as better lacing, then there really wouldn't be that much to complain about. You know, the Rebel V5 is a classic kind of, or maybe a good template to look at as far as previous models' uppers being a little bit frustrating despite it being like an amazing overall shoe, and then them fixing the upper overall and having that be a pretty significant upgrade in future models. So if we get an Evo SL 2, then I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that they might give us a gusseted tongue, or at least have that fix, that upper kind of the tongue and the lacing system a little bit more improved overall. But as far as functionality, like, you still get really good lockdown. You have a nice cushioned heel overall. The upper is breathable. It is minimal, but it's a lightweight trainer, so it's supposed to be fairly minimal overall. Moving to the midsoles, you have a PIBA EVA blend in the Rebel V5. They call it fuel cell, but fuel cell is going to be a little bit different in each of their shoes. So with this one, I'm not sure quite the percentage of EVA versus PIBA in the shoe, but it is fairly soft and squishy. So it's not quite as squishy as maybe the 1080 in the New Balance lineup and the Fresh Foam X lineup, but it is still very, very soft, very, very squishy, and it might be even a little softer than previous models. All in all, the shoe actually ends up being fairly stable in comparison to previous models as well. The base is fairly wide, and it's not going to be a stability shoe because with that soft foam underfoot, if you do overpronate, that foam's not going to stop you from overpronating because of how soft and squishy it is, but it's a very, very fun, energetic ride. So you get some really, really good rebound in that foam. It bounces off the ground. It's fun, but it still is fairly in control. And I feel like this iteration of the Rebel is honestly like a little bit more daily trainer-like, and is gonna be more geared towards like longer runs, I think, with workout paces in them, as opposed to shorter intervals, which is maybe where a lot of lightweight trainers shine. On the other side, we have the Lightstrike Pro, and this formulation is also different than Lightstrike Pro in some of the, you know, Adios Pro lines, where that foams tend to be really, really squishy. This is still a supercritical TPEE, and you do have a nylon shank there kind of in the midfoot area, but it tends to be, it's a little bit, not firm, but it's soft yet supportive, so it doesn't compress quite as much. It's not like super, super squishy. Now, that being said, the geometry of this midsole is a little bit more aggressive, I feel like, than the Rebel V5, so it actually is a little bit more unstable, in my opinion, despite being a little bit firmer. That being said, I do think that it is really, really nice on long runs. It's really nice on shorter intervals. And so between the two midsoles, I think that honestly, like if I were to go for like an easy long run, I would gravitate towards the Rebel V5. If I was going for more of a workout style long run, then I would gravitate towards the Evo SL. Looking at shorter, faster intervals or shorter, faster workouts, I would definitely go for the Evo SL as well. I just feel like the foam and the pop off the ground is a little bit better in the Evo SL than it is the Rebel V5. Now, that's not a knock on the Rebel, because frankly, the Evo SL is my #1 shoe of the year so far. It's just so crazy versatile. I've never run in a shoe quite like it. The Rebel V5 is probably still going to be in my top, like this may be 1 and 2 in my lightweight trainer category. I'm having a lot of trouble this year. Basically, there's just so much gray area in shoes right now in terms of like what is or isn't a daily trainer versus a max cushion shoe versus a lightweight trainer. And so I might just do like overall trainer rankings at the end of the day. And if that is the case, then this is probably sitting at #3 for me right now, I believe. So I would say Evo SL, Neo Zen, Rebel V5, Aeroglide 3. And if you watch my Aeroglide 3 review, you know that I really, really like that shoe. So that just tells you how much I did like the Rebel V5. This is just a really difficult comparison because, again, probably my shoe of the year. Now, moving to the outsoles, New Balance has a new rubber on the bottom of the Rebel V5. It has some really, really good coverage there in the forefoot area, and I found that it is fairly grippy compared to previous models especially. Now, the Continental rubber on the Evo SL can get a little bit slick, which is frankly surprising because Continental rubber tends to be really, really good. But so long as you're not running in super slippery or wet areas, I think both of these are going to be totally fine for you, and I wouldn't really have any issues or any worries. So from a durability standpoint, the Evo SL has almost 50 miles on them, or around 50 miles on them, and you are getting a little bit of wear and tear there kind of in the heel. about 30 miles into the Rebel V5, and there's no real noticeable wear and tear on that outsole, except for in the exposed foam area where it is starting to eat down a little bit. Now, there's enough cushion underfoot on both of these though that even if that exposed foam does get eaten away a little bit, I don't expect it to really mess with the overall feel underfoot. Now, as far as my pick between these two shoes, I think it's obvious at this point that I'm going Evo SL. It's just more versatile overall, but this is also just like speaks to how crazy shoes have been in 2025, in my opinion, because the Rebel V5, if this released last year, probably takes either my standard daily trainer of the year category or potentially my lightweight daily trainer. I have to maybe compare it to the Hyperion 2 from Brooks, which I ended up really, really liking. But it was just because it was a little bit more structured, but still fast. And the Rebel V5 is now a little bit more structured, right? You still have, or you have a little bit more underfoot. It can go a little bit longer versus the Rebel V4, I felt like bottomed out a little bit at times. So I think that it's not necessarily a total improvement over the V4 because I really liked it for different reasons, but it's more versatile in my opinion. So because of that, it would have ranked super, super highly in 2024. Again, 2025, we got the Evo SL, we got the Neo Zen, we have the Aeroglide 3, we have the Rebel V5. There's just so many really, really good shoes, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. I need to actually start a spreadsheet so I can track this better. But I will do an update at the end of June of where my rankings are sitting for 2025 halfway through. So again, Evo SL, probably my #1 shoe of the year, so probably what I'm taking over the Rebel V5. But if you didn't like the Evo SL and you're looking for something similar but different, I think the Rebel V5 is going to be a really, really good option. And at $140, it's phenomenal value compared to what else is out there on the market today. So just some final thoughts. The lightweight trainer category needs more hype. It is by far my favorite category. Pretty much every brand has a lightweight trainer, and the large majority of them are really, really good. And they typically come in that like $130 to $150 price range. So if you're ever looking for a shoe that can truly kind of do a little bit of everything and do it pretty well, consider a lightweight trainer from your favorite brand. Now, if you've watched this far, I sure appreciate you. Please take a second, leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what other comparisons you'd like to see. This was actually one that was suggested in my comment section. So sometimes I run out of ideas or I forget, what shoes I should compare. So let me know there, as well as give me some feedback or, let me know what you enjoyed about today's video. Now, if you've watched this far and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on those notifications. And we'll just close out with a question, as always, which is, what is your favorite lightweight trainer of 2025? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.